I was wondering as you were speaking, Joe, I was asking myself, you're someone that's constantly doing research and developing new ideas and hypotheses about the world and the way humans are and the way the universe is. Do there exist beliefs in your head that you're too scared to share?
You mean beliefs that I have that are from experience, or beliefs that I have that are conjecturous?
Either. Both.
Yeah, I have a very strong belief that the probability of us seeing the truth in reality is zero. I think that we perceive less than 1% of reality. The brain is missing out on a lot of data. And I think that we should never exclude ourselves from the unknown. I think there's a whole part of the unknown self that we're unaware of that I think exists beyond linear time and space. And I do believe that it's real.
And you don't know what that is?
Oh, I do, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a realm beyond space and time that I think, your eye right now is perceiving a very small spectrum of frequency, visible light. It's a very tiny slice in the electromagnetic spectrum. And that visible light, red, orange, yellow, blue, green, indigo, violet, is actually bouncing off of the slowest and most stable form of energy called matter. And that gives us this perception of separation, right? Well, that small spectrum is less than 1% of what we actually can perceive. So I think that our senses plug us into reality, into three-dimensional reality. But I think there are realities that exist beyond space and time that we're unaware of.
That we can tap into?
Yeah, I do. And I think there are latent systems in the brain that once activated allows the brain to transduce that energy, that frequency into profound information.
Do psychedelics drugs work in that way?
I think psychedelics give a person a perception of reality that's beyond three-dimensional reality. We're discovering that the nervous system makes its own pharmacy of psychedelics. In fact, we have really recent data that shows that many people that have a mystical experience in our work that have fMRIs look like they're on psilocybin. Mm. Yeah. And yet your nervous system's making that natural chemical endogenously.
And how are those mystical experiences triggered?
I'll give you the short version. Mm-hmm. There's a tiny little gland in the back of your brain called the pineal gland. And the pineal gland has tiny little crystals inside of it that are stacked up on top of each other, rhombohedron in shape. And that little tiny gland acts like a radio receiver for electromagnetic frequencies. And when those crystals can become activated, like a radio receiver, they can pick up frequencies that are beyond your senses, the quantum. And they can transduce, it's called a transducer, it can transduce that frequency like a TV antenna into profound imagery, a very full-on sensory experience without your senses.
Interesting. Explains a lot. My girlfriend always talks to me about the pineal gland and DMT and, and the power of everything you've just described. I just want to remain open-minded, because being closed-minded at any point in my life is not conducive with progress and growth. So my desire in doing this podcast generally is just to learn from people that have new perspectives on the nature of the world and to remain humble in the fact that I know very little. So what you said at the end there about us almost knowing zero about the nature of true reality, or whatever that might mean, I do believe that I know very little about the true nature of reality, and my senses have deceived me, whether it's in psychedelic states or other states. So I'm very aware how the fragility of this experience, or whether truth is what I think it is.
Yeah. Well, I think it only takes one mystical moment, one transcendental moment, for us to realize that we're missing out on a little bit of reality.
Because I love someone and they're close to me and I want the best for them, when I see that they are experiencing a recurring pattern of behavior or habit that is causing them unhappiness, loneliness, to miss the goals they have in their life of becoming a husband or a wife or a partner or whatever it might be, I have a growing sense of frustration, because and that sometimes that sometimes manifests itself as trying to fix and help and give advice and change them. You must experience that in a different way. You're much smarter than me. You must experience that in a different way when you meet people that you can see are having these recurring patterns of behavior. And when you see that in them, has there any ever been frustration on your part? Have you ever been frustrated that change hasn't happened in someone that you loved?
God, I think it's such a noble act to change, and I understand how hard it is to change. I understand that process. So I think the greatest thing that I could ever do for someone is to show them what change looks like. It's so much more profound than anything that I could ever say. And I would never offer my opinion to them. I would love them unconditionally because I maybe see a part of myself that I've changed, and I understand how hard it is to change, or I understand that they're going to have their moment when they're ready to change. And so I think it's really interesting, because what I've learned over the years is that no new information can enter the nervous system that's not equal to the person's emotional state. You can give them the answer, the right answer to the problem, and they won't hear it because it's not relevant equal to the emotion that they're experiencing. What we've learned is that if you take people in, just say 7 days, just cross the river of change, go from the old self to the new self, immerse yourself fully into it, break free from the chains of those emotions that keep you anchored to the past, overcome those habits and behaviors that keep you programmed into a predictable future, overcome all those aspects of your beliefs that keep you stuck in a certain state in terms of how you're thinking and those hardwired perceptions. 7 days, break free. And normally the person has the answer to their own question. I think that's when it becomes really relevant, when you have your own insight, your own epiphany, when it's your own truth because you've worked to get beyond it. People, when they analyze themselves or analyze their life within some disturbing emotion, when we looked at the real-time brain scans, we saw that they were actually making their brain worse. They were driving their brain further out of balance, overthinking, overanalyzing. And so when you analyze something within an emotion is a record of the past. So you're thinking in the past, the solution could never be there. Free the person from that emotion, and of course they see it from a greater level of consciousness.
For all those people listening right now that are like me, that try and fix, because through what they think of as love, maybe I'm doing it for other reasons, but what could they do to be a better ally or friend or partner to that individual? Based on everything you've said, that maybe they need their own moment, or their emotional system isn't in regulation with their information.
God, anytime we want to do anybody a great service is to help them out of their emotional state. I mean, it's not a lecture that's going to help them. Come on, let's go do something. Come on, let's go. Just get them doing something, just breaking themselves out of that state. It's not like the answer. It's they have to change their state to get the answer. So if I were to do anything, I would want to help them shorten their emotional reaction, to get beyond the emotion, whatever that is. And I wouldn't be a lecture. It would be something fun that we did, or something unusual that we did, or just trying something. Let's just do something. And I think showing people what love looks like, show them what joy looks like, show them what happiness looks like. I think people notice that. I think they pay attention to that. It gives them permission to do the same. So maybe just show up as the person you would want to be around if you were feeling that way.